Hi, I'm Emily Beach, and today I'm going to be walking you through these 8 beginner watercolor techniques. We're going to be doing wet on wet, flat wash, gradated wash, dry brush, lifted colors, graffito, the salt technique, and wax resist. First, we're going to do wet on wet. This starts out with just painting your area of your paper with water and then using a diluted, watered down watercolor on top of that. We just drop it on and it will spread out. The second technique that I'm going to show you how to do is a flat wash. With flat wash, we're going to treat the paper with water again, and then we're going to just try to apply the pigment to that area and get the same value throughout the whole area so that there are no variations with lighter or darker values. So you might want to just use the brush to go back over any areas that are lighter or darker. Next technique is the gradated wash. With this technique, we're going to try to go from a very pale diluted pigment to a much darker pigment. So we're going to do a watered down area on the bottom. We're going to do a more concentrated on the top, and then we'll layer over the top a little bit more and just try to have a smooth transition from a lighter value to a darker value of color. Now with our next technique, which is dry brush, we're just going to be working on dry paper, and we're going to be using paint that is not incredibly diluted. This is a great technique to get detail areas of your watercolor painting down. Moving on to the fifth technique, which is lifted color, we're going to wet the paper, apply a diluted layer of watercolor. Then we're going to crumble up. You could use a paper towel or you could use a piece of paper. And we're going to blot the color on the paper just to lift up some of the color. This is a good technique for if you wanted to lift up cloud areas in the sky, or if you wanted to add some texture to some shrubbery or leaf areas. In the next one's graffito, we're going to actually scratch the paper with any sharp implement, and then you will apply your watercolor paint over the scratch surface. You can see where the paper has been scratched. It's going to absorb more of the pigment in the watercolor. This could be a great technique, again, for greenery, shrubbery, or to get fine details. The next technique is the salt technique. So I just have a salt grinder, rock salt from the dollar store, and you're going to apply wet watercolor pigment, and then you're going to grind the salt. Then do not paint over that, just let it dry. In our last one, wax resist, we're going to use crayons to draw on the paper, and then we're going to layer over that with any color of our pigmented watercolor, and you can also lift up some of that if it's not resisting enough, but you can see that detail underneath the watercolor. Thank you for watching today, and I hope you can try some of these in your next watercolor.